When I first started You Can Play This, I was looking for games that were so easy that you didn't even need to mess with Japanese menus. I wanted to show you games that, even though they didn't come out here, they were quick, enjoyable, and simple. And today's game on Loan Month is just that. Quick, enjoyable, and simple. And it's actually quite challenging too.
You think that you can play this. Now you can. You think that you can play this. Let's hear what he says. I know that you can play this, but only if you follow JewWario.
Side-scrolling games have always had a lot of popularity for being games that you can plug and play. Push one button and just move the D-pad. Brainless fun, for the most part. That's not a bad thing. Now, just from watching the gameplay, this game will probably remind you of another popular side-scrolling run-and-gun shooter known as Metal Slug. Well, it is similar, but it actually came out a year before Metal Slug. But that's okay too. Just because a game is similar to another one doesn't mean that it's bad or it shouldn't be played. And this game is just as different as Street Fighter is from other fighting games. Even though there are some fighting games that are just Street Fighter clones. Bad analogy. But this is a good game. Gunner's Heaven for the PlayStation 1. You play as either Axel Sonics or Ruka Hetfield, and you have to fight against an evil terrorist organization. It's always terrorist organizations, isn't it? And with being an import title, you'll miss the storyline as it's in Japanese, but that's okay. There's practically no story. So honestly, nothing of value is being lost here. Now once again, this game did come to Europe as Rapid Reload, but it didn't come over to the US. What's wrong with us? When you start the game, you can choose to modify the game slightly. Then you can choose your character. Are you a boy or a girl? A girl? Then you work your way through the level. Defeat the mid-bosses until you get to the main boss. There are 6 stages for this game, but let me tell you, it is not easy. This game will punish you for stepping just one toe out of line. Here's the controls. The X button is your jump button, while the square button is your shooting button. It's actually really convenient in that you can just mash down on the square button to rapid fire and then jump by using the bottom of your thumb. You can shoot in multiple directions of 45 degrees just by pressing the D-pad in that direction. The triangle button changes your gun from one kind of bullet to another. The circle button is for your bombs. To grab onto an upper shelf, just jump and grab. To climb up, press the jump button again. Now what makes this game unique is how you power up your gun. Normally with games of this type of genre, they have weapons that level up gradually and you keep them until you lose a life. In Gunner's Heaven, you keep your main gun throughout. Certain enemies that you defeat will drop power crystals. Now each one of the basic ones that you collect gives you 1 second of boosted power. When that second is up, you power down. Now that would suck if you got them one at a time, but you actually get them several at a time. And a couple even have multiple crystals inside of them, making for a bigger boost. Some count for 1 second, some count for more. But if you can keep the boost going, then you can actually fight some of the main bosses all powered up. Because when you fight bosses, the countdown stops. There are some exceptions. Can you say cheese? Oh, and I didn't stop it for that joke either. It's still going from when I started it the first time. Like I said before, can you say cheese? Now we get to the boss, and now, finally, the timer stops. Ugh. But this does make it really challenging. Each of the characters have their own shots for their pistols, meaning that it's possible to go through it with varying difficulties. I find the girl to be a little bit easier to play the game through on the first time than with the guy, as she has enemy-seeking shots. There's even a mega booster that will max out your gun's ability and really make it a fierce weapon, but once again, only for a limited time. Now I did say that this was similar to Metal Slug, but it came out first. Well, there was a game that came out before Gunner's Heaven that pretty much Gunner's Heaven was based off of, and that was Gunstar Heroes. Gunstar Heroes came out for the Sega Genesis by Treasure and is quite the fun title in and of itself. Gunner's Heaven seemed to be the unofficial sequel. It's a touchy point for many, and it is part of the game's history, so take that as you will. On the downside, this game isn't full of bells and whistles. I warned you about that earlier, but I quite mean it. The opening is bland, there aren't many animated cutscenes, and the defeats of the bosses are pretty unspectacular. Also, it's a one-player game, so if you're looking for a co-op shooting game, you'll have to look elsewhere. But on an interesting side note, Ruka and Axel also showed up in a bar in the PS1 game Wild Arms, as the owners of the bar called Gunner's Heaven. Pretty wild, right? It's an early PlayStation 2D shooter and it shows its age, but it has a challenging and fun gameplay. The animations are not too dated, but I have seen better, but I've also seen worse. And you get unlimited continues, so if you die, you can always start at the beginning of a stage's scene. And if you don't want to find a physical copy on eBay, then for 600 yen, you can get it in the Japanese PSN store. Look under shooting games and it's right there. And if you have a PS3 and import games, or you want to, or you just don't have a Japanese PSN account, well, then shame on you. But you can follow the links below here and I'll show you how to make an account and how to get Japanese PSN cards to buy stuff. It's really simple and takes barely any time at all. And with over 670 PS1 and PC Engine games as of this date, and with around half or more of them being you can play this games, dude, really, sign up and get it! Yeah!
You think that you can play this? Now you can. You think that you can play this? Let's see what he says. I know that you can play this. But only if you follow JewWario. You can play this. You can play this.
Next week, I play the gosh darn Batman.
What are you doing? Batman doesn't say gosh darned.
Well, I do. I'm Batman.